What is Star Citizen? Imagine a universe that combines the freedom of exploration, the thrill of combat, and the unique challenge of building a life in space. In a seamless galaxy of breathtaking scale without loading screens or transitions, Star Citizen puts ultimate control in the hands of the player. Whether you're making your way as a cargo hauler, joining a mercenary crew as a marine or starfighter pilot, exploring the vastness of space in search of new routes and wonders, or scraping out a living outside the law, in Star Citizen you'll navigate through a mixture of procedurally generated and handcrafted worlds and interact with a variety of characters with potentially tens of thousands of other players in the same server. That is the essence of what developer Chris Roberts and Cloud Empyrean Games are attempting to create with Star Citizen. Hello, I'm Captain Katarn, and today we're going to answer the question, what is Star Citizen? I'm going to break down this video into a few parts. First, I'll detail the Star Citizen experience as it stands today, what the future plans are for this game, and finally what you need specs-wise to run the game and how to get started if you decide to back the project. I'll attempt to do so in the most unbiased way possible, though I will point out that I myself am a backer of the game, and will give you my reasons for doing so at the end. So let's begin. The Star Citizen project is broken down into two separate games developed in tandem. The first is Squadron 42, which is a single-player FPS space adventure with a heavy emphasis on story and cinematic gameplay, featuring motion-captured performances from A-list actors such as Mark Hamill from Star Wars, Gillian Anderson from The X-Files, Gary Oldman from, well, pretty much everything, and many other recognizable faces. Henry Cavill of Superman fame was revealed last year as a surprise addition to the cast as well. Squadron 42 is intended to be a standalone experience set in the Star Citizen universe and is scheduled to be released around the holiday 2020 timeframe. For spoiler reasons, nearly all of Squadron 42 and its assets have not been revealed to us beyond trailers and a 1-hour vertical slice of gameplay. This video isn't about Squadron 42, but the other game project, known as the Persistent Universe, or MMO portion of the game. Both games share a code base, therefore tech systems, ships, and locations created for one game will be able to be used in the other, allowing the developer to efficiently build out both games simultaneously. The Persistent Universe, an MMO-like game mode, otherwise known as the PU, is the game that people most closely associate with the name Star Citizen. It's available to play now in its current development state to all Star Citizen backers. This is what we'll focus on in this video. Every 3 months, typically on or around the start of the quarter, CIG releases a new update patch to the PU with enhanced gameplay features, tech updates, locations, and newly created ships available to fly in-game. In the fourth quarter of 2019, the developers released the most stable branch to date, Alpha 3.7. This has addressed a significant number of issues related to performance and stability, featuring a number of quality of life and player, group mission enhancements that have left the game in the best playable state yet. After logging in and creating a character with a customization tool, you'll begin your Star Citizen journey in a space station named Port Olisar. From there, what you choose to do is completely up to you. You see, Star Citizen isn't like a traditional RPG or MMO. There are no skill points, no character classes, no limitations on your in-game rules or abilities. There's also an emphasis on non-combat gameplay options for people that would rather avoid the pew-pew aspects and make a living through more peaceful means. The lack of defined character archetypes means that you have complete freedom to explore what the game has to offer. It's a true sandbox in that regard. To get started, you can access randomly generated mission contracts available on your personal communicator, called your Mobiglass, and pick something that appeals to you. As an example, after watching The Mandalorian, you may get the itch to try being a bounty hunter, using your ship to hunt down and eliminate or capture the criminal element of the galaxy. After proving yourself through a series of bounty missions, you earn the right to hunt other human players that have broken the law and obtained a crime stat rating. This is something Star Wars Galaxies fans might remember as the Jedi vs. Bounty Hunter gameplay. It was one of the most memorable experiences in that game. In that same play session, you could switch gears and decide to mine valuable minerals in a specialized mining ship such as the Mist Prospector, the Argo Mole, or on foot using an FPS mining laser tool. The mining gameplay is fairly complex and scheduled to receive additional enhancements in the next patch. There are mercenary missions available for combat pilots to perform a guided patrol sweep of lawless areas and eliminate pirates or protect ships that are currently under attack. In ship-based combat, your skill in combat is determined by your ability to fly and aim in a proficient manner. The game strives to be controller agnostic, and players can use a keyboard and mouse, a hands-on throttle and stick known as a HOTAS setup with a joystick and a separate throttle, or 2 joysticks to control their ships based on personal preference. There's no real I win button in the game. Credits earned can be used to upgrade components on your ship, rent new ships, or purchase them outright in the game itself. Starting in Alpha 3.8, your credits and ships purchased in-game will carry on through each patch when available, making the gameplay even more meaningful. Another non-combat option is being a freighter pilot. Moving cargo from location to location, attempting to fill your cargo hold in your wallet. While it might sound boring, I personally find it very fun and relaxing. Star Citizen is attempting to simulate a real economy with supply and demand for resources and items depending on various factors including availability, rarity, manufacturing complexity, item demand, and more. Choosing the right routes and cargo to haul is a constantly changing dynamic. For captains with a little moral flexibility, they're smuggling. Smuggling options include illicit substances and items. There are drug labs throughout the Stanton system that sell illegal items. Being caught by the authorities can carry a number of penalties from fines, confiscation of items, crime stat rating, or immediate combat which can lead to your death. The risk-reward proposition is high. Crime and piracy is another avenue. Players have the ability to use a new ship, named the Mantis, that creates a quantum interdiction field that can pull other ships out of quantum travel. Quantum travel is similar to lightspeed in Star Wars. These fields can be used by pirates and law enforcement to capture ships and interdict them. Entire organizations of players exist to exploit the seedier elements of the gameplay for profit. There's currently a rudimentary law system that exists in the game that will be fleshed out further, with new updates including a prison system for players caught breaking the law. In a game that gives the player complete agency, there needs to be a risk-reward for deciding to be the black hat villain. This type of gameplay further fleshes out that loop. There's exploration options available with missions that include investigating shipwrecks for missing crew or black box items, searching for missing clients in the recently introduced procedurally generated vast cave networks, or solving mysteries in abandoned space stations. You could even walk the surface of one of the life-size planets or moons just taking in the scenery. Huge cities are available to explore in-game, such as Lorville on the planet Hurston, or Area 18 from ArcCorp. ArcCorp is a complete ecumenopolis planet similar to Coruscant from Star Wars, with a decidedly Blade Runner vibe. In addition to randomly generated mission contracts, there are NPC mission characters that can offer you specialized missions in person that are much more complex and potentially even more lucrative. These missions can be influenced by your reputation in-game. Players that have displayed a criminal history may have opportunities for further crime-related missions. Excellent combat or bounty mission proficiency may lead to a security firm offering missions. There are also cargo hauling related missions and even missions that pit player versus player for the same objective in a race to the objective in PvP combat to obtain it. A few specific examples include a mission to storm a bunker defended by anti-aircraft turrets and eliminate hostiles that have illegally taken over a secret manufacturing facility. A mission to infiltrate and eliminate a rival drug cartel and steal their illicit substances for profit is available as well. There's more, but I don't want to spoil them. Star Citizen is a game that can be played solo, but where it really shines is in multiplayer ships with your friends or organization mates. Nearly all the ships that are larger than starfighters require a multi-person crew to operate efficiently, with each person taking on a different role from pilot to gunner. Not to worry though, in the future players will be able to hire AI crews if they are set on the solo experience. While not all the ship multiplayer gameplay elements are in-game at this time, there's nothing quite like carrying out an operation with a group, interacting with each other. CIG has spent considerable resources working on technology like voice-over IP and face-over IP to further enhance the experience. These technologies allow your webcam to track your facial movements in real time and animate your in-game character matching your real voice. The technology is in the early stages, but it looks promising. This is just scratching the surface of the different experiences that you can have currently in this game. Future gameplay additions include medical gameplay, fuel mining and refining, salvage mechanics, repair mechanics, player housing and land claims, and more. Now that we've talked about some of the experiences that are incredible in the game, there are some nagging issues as well. The AI, for example, are very basic at this stage of the development, and for most pilots will not pose much of a threat in space or in ground-based FPS. The netcode is undergoing a completely needed refactor as players will jitter around next to you, breaking the otherwise amazing fidelity of the game. The game is in an alpha state, indicating its unfinished status, and while it's much more stable than it's ever been, the prospect of losing a mission or a ship full of cargo to a server or game crash is a real threat. In the future, full persistence should help mitigate this, but it can be very frustrating. Those issues, fortunately, are well understood by the developer, and work is ongoing to address them. Their entire development roadmap is updated with weekly progress and available on the website for anyone to view. In addition, they have 2 YouTube shows a week with an inside look at the development of the game, spotlighting upcoming features. It's debatably the most open and accessible game project in existence. So where does the game go from here? In the early years of the Star Citizen development, it wasn't uncommon for a year or more to pass without a major update. The complexity of creating a seamless world was something that many doubters of the project believe could never be overcome. Within the last year, the tech CIG has been working on to enable the realization of the project has started to mature and become integrated into the game. Updates are now delivered 4 times a year, and the game has begun to gel as a playable experience. To quote Chris Roberts, "It's all coming together, and at a fidelity that no one thought was possible." We're going to get a little technical here for a moment to explain the major tech advancements that brought us to this point. Procedural planets were a major milestone in development. They were initially shown as a prototype in 2016 at Gamescom and introduced into the PU in 2017. Prior to this, Star Citizen was going to have to use a traditional zone loading scheme like nearly every other game. The completion of this tech massively changed the scope of the game. Planet Tech is currently in its 4th generation of iteration and continues to look more and more lifelike. Adding to the Planet Tech, new dynamic weather patterns and their effect on both player health and ship handling are scheduled to be introduced in 2020. Performance has always been an issue with the early builds of Star Citizen. The game could cripple even the most expensive PCs, and 30 FPS was very difficult to achieve initially. Tech improvements have negated this, and the range of PCs that can enjoy Star Citizen has increased significantly at the lower end. This was realized through the addition of client-side Object Container Streaming, aka OCS, in 2018 and was followed up by server-side OCS in 2019. Prior to this, the game would need to load everything in the universe into the client's memory at launch, and the player's PC would need to receive updates on everything happening in the game universe, even if it was on the other side of the star system. OCS essentially streams out from the player client non-essential information outside of the local area. This in turn reduces resources needed and the amount of server communications sent to the player and has greatly improved performance. Server-side OCS works on the same principle, with the game server streaming in and out areas of play where there are no players. This tech is the first step to creating a single shard universe where everyone could potentially be on the same server. The next step is to create the tech for server meshing, which will allow for different servers to be linked together in a dynamic way at the object container level, potentially allowing for nearly unlimited players in the same universe. With OCS being implemented into the game, new star systems can be added to the servers. The next star system to be introduced to the PU will be the Pyro system in 2020. This was recently teased in the main presentation at CitizenCon in 2019. Other locations that will be ready to be added into the PU after the release of Squadron 42 will further add to the playable space. Now we'll talk about what you need to get started in Star Citizen. We'll start with PC specs. Traditionally, the GPU tends to be the limiting factor in a game. Well, that's not true with Star Citizen. It's a multi-threaded game that thrives with a strong CPU, as they overhauled the game engine to take advantage of multiple cores and many threaded processors. Additionally, a solid-state drive is a must. The game loads a significant amount of data in real time, and with a traditional hard drive, the load times and the performance stutters are considerable. Of course, you don't have to take my word for this. Star Citizen has a built-in telemetry tracker which will display the frame rate that people are receiving in the game in real time. You can see the GPU-CPU combinations and their average frame rate. A look at the tracker shows most configurations are able to run at least a reasonable FPS, and it scales with CPU power for the most part. Rather than giving a recommended PC build, I encourage you to look at the chart and find your current PC specs, as this will give you an idea of how it's performing today and what an update might do for your system. If you do choose to back the game, the website can be a little confusing. The only thing that you need to get started in Star Citizen is a game package with a starter ship, and that's really all I recommend for a new player. There's no subscription, it's a one-time purchase of the game, and you can start playing it immediately. I've included a link in the description to my referral code, which will earn you an additional 5,000 in-game credits. This is enough to buy your first weapon or armor set and help you get started. There are other ships listed in the pledge store, but you don't need to purchase them with real money. All the ships are available to be purchased in-game with in-game credits. The ships are made available for real money to give backers an option to further support the development of the game. If you do go this route, know that it's not a purchase, it's a pledge to fund development, and it's non-refundable. You see, Star Citizen is a game that is nearly entirely crowdfunded, and the people who choose to buy these ships with the real money are supporting the development of the game. As of this video, the developer Cloud Imperium Games employs over 600 developers and has raised over $250 million in funding, plus private investment money. The advantage of a crowdfunded game is that there is no publisher. Going into 2020, we've seen the realization of years of behind-the-scene tech needed to make this game come together, which I am sure would never have happened under a publisher like EA or Activision. Star Citizen evokes a lot of emotions from people, and there's a vocal movement online that believes the game is a scam. There was certainly a time where the argument could have made sense, as years passed without significant external signs of progress, while the tech was being developed to bring the game experience together. However, after detailing where the game is today and where it's going, I believe this argument is now invalid. The other argument that is made often is that the game is pay to win, and that's simply not accurate. The game's not strictly pay to win, as skill will ultimately win against a better ship. I've been defeated by players that were in a starter ship, and I had my Aegis Saber, which is considered one of the best starfighters, simply because they were the better pilot. It's a skill game at its core, so if you're not able to compete with somebody on that level, it doesn't really matter what ship they're in, they're going to get the best of you. Everything that I've detailed to you is ultimately why I've chosen to back the game at the concierge level, which means that I've spent over $1,000 pledging support to the game development. You see, I wasn't an early adopter of Star Citizen. I backed the game in 2016 when it was in a playable state and allowed me to watch the videos or live streams and decide if it was something that I was interested in before buying. Today you have even more information and a much more complete game to judge. I'd like to thank the people that backed the dream in 2012 and subsequent years that did so without the reassurance that it would ever materialize. They're the ones that made this possible. Now that you have my thoughts on the game, I'd like to hear yours. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.